Captain Do-hyun Kim stood tall on the bridge of the United Earth Federation starship Dauntless. Through the massive viewing window, he could see the Galactic Council Station. It was huge, shaped like a wheel with long spokes, floating in space. Lights twinkled all over its surface. "Captain, we are ready to dock," said the pilot. Do-hyun nodded. "Take us in slowly. This is a big day for humanity." Humans had only discovered faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. They were the newest space travelers in the known galaxy. The Galactic Council, made up of 17 advanced alien species, had invited Earth to present their case for membership. Do-hyun turned to his team. "Remember, we represent all of humanity today." His diplomatic team nodded back at him. Dr. Ji-won Park adjusted her uniform. She was their language expert, able to understand alien cultures and languages faster than anyone else. Commander Tae-ho Lee checked his hidden weapon one last time. As security chief, he didn't trust anyone. He had fought in Earth's final world war and still had scars, both seen and unseen. Ambassador Ha Yoon reviewed her notes. She was Earth's main diplomat, known for finding common ground between enemies. "Docking." "Complete, Captain," said the pilot. Do-hyun took a deep breath. "Let's make history." The council chamber was a massive round room. The ceiling rose so high it seemed to disappear. 17 large platforms floated in a circle, each holding representatives from a different alien species. Some looked almost human. Others were completely different, some with multiple limbs, others with no solid form at all. In the center was a smaller platform where Earth's team now stood. "Welcome, humans," said a tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms. "I am High Counselor Ilara of the Altari. We are pleased to welcome the newest spacefaring civilization to our chambers." Ambassador Yoon stepped forward. "Thank you, High Counselor. Earth is honored by this invitation." Do-hyun watched the aliens carefully. Some seemed friendly, leaning forward with interest. Others seemed worried, whispering to each other behind thin hands or tentacles. Ha-yoon began Earth's presentation. She showed images of Earth's oceans, mountains, cities, and people. She explained human history, being careful to balance their achievements with honest admissions of their mistakes. "Humans have fought many wars," she said, "but we have learned from them. Our world is now united under the Earth Federation. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship." The council members seemed impressed. Do-hyun began to relax slightly. Then everything changed. A loud explosion shook the chamber. The lights flickered and went out. Emergency lights came on, bathing everything in red. "Security breach," shouted an alien voice. Do-hyun reached for his emergency communicator. "Dauntless report." Before he could hear a response, armed figures stormed into the chamber. They were tall, with gray skin and black armor. Each had 3 yellow eyes and carried weapons that glowed with purple energy. "Nobody move." Their leader shouted. "The Void Sovereignty claims this chamber." Do-hyun recognized the name. The Void Sovereignty was a violent group that operated in the outer reaches of Council space. They attacked ships, stole resources, and destroyed anyone who opposed them. Tae-ho moved to protect the human delegation, but one of the attackers fired. The purple beam hit the floor in front of him, leaving a smoking hole. "The next one goes through your head," the attacker said. The leader of the attackers stepped forward. He was taller than the others, with a scar across his middle eye. "I am Supreme Commander Vrax of the Void Sovereignty. This council has ignored our demands for too long. Today, that changes." Council security forces tried to respond, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Within minutes, the attackers had control of the chamber. Vrax pointed to the main doors. "Seal them." His soldiers pushed everyone to the center of the chamber. They separated the council members from their aides and security. The human delegation was kept together. "What do you want?" asked High Counselor Ilara. Vrax smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Simple things. First, the council will give us control of 3 star systems, the Vega, Deneb, and Altair systems." The council members gasped. Those were some of the richest systems in the galaxy. "Second, you will recognize the Void Sovereignty as a legitimate government." Do-hyun frowned. They weren't a government. They were pirates and killers. "Third, You will give us access to the weapons technology in the Council archives. Now Du Hyun understood. With advanced weapons, the sovereignty could take over even more territory. This is outrageous, said a council member with scales and a long neck. We will never agree. Vrax walked to the alien who had spoken. Without warning, he pulled out a weapon and fired. The council member fell. A hole burned through his chest. The chamber filled with screams and shouts. That was Counselor Terex of the Saurians, Vrax said calmly. Let his death remind you that I am serious. Du Hyun felt cold inside. These terrorists had planned carefully. They had insider knowledge of the Council's security systems. This was bad. Vrax continued. Each Council species will vote on our demands, one by one. Any species that votes no will watch their representatives die. Then we vote again. Ambassador Yoon whispered to Do Hyun. This is a nightmare. The voting began. The first species, faced with the death of their representatives, voted yes. So did the second and third. When it was Earth's turn, Vrax turned to the human delegation. Humans. You are new here. But the choice is simple. Vote yes and you live to see your planet again. Vote no. He left the threat hanging. Du Hyun stepped forward. Ambassador Yoon tried to stop him, but he gently moved her hand away. I am Captain Do Hyun Kim of the United Earth Federation Starship Dauntless. I speak for Earth in this matter. The chamber went quiet. All eyes, human and alien, turned to him. Do Hyun stood straight, his face calm. He looked directly at Vrax. The United Earth Federation does not negotiate with terrorists. Not now. Not ever. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Even Vrax seemed surprised. Perhaps you did not understand, Vrax said. If you vote no, you die. Then your companions die, one by one. Do Hyun didn't blink. I understood perfectly. My answer stands. Dr. Ji-won Park looked terrified but nodded in support. Commander Taeho's face showed grim approval. Ambassador Yoon closed her eyes briefly, then stood taller. Are all humans this stupid? Vrax asked. Or are you special? We are not stupid, Do Hyun replied. We simply learned long ago that giving in to people like you only leads to more violence. The price we pay today becomes the starting price tomorrow. Vrax's three eyes narrowed. You have courage, human. Misplaced courage. He turned to his soldiers. Put the humans in the holding cell. I will deal with them later. As the soldiers led them away, the council members watched with various expressions. Shock, respect, confusion, and fear. You've killed us all, Ambassador Yoon whispered to Do Hyun. No, he replied quietly. I've just bought us time, and shown them who we really are. The heavy doors of the council chamber closed behind them, with a final sounding thud, to be continued. Colonel Soo-ho Kang stood in the rain, looking at the ruins of what had once been a beautiful part of New Singapore. Buildings were damaged, streets were cracked. Rescue teams moved through the area, helping the injured. How many did we lose? Soo-ho asked the officer next to him. 27 soldiers, sir, but we saved the city. Soo-ho nodded slowly. And the terrorists? All neutralized. No survivors. 3 days ago, a terrorist group had taken control of New Singapore. They had planted antimatter bombs throughout the megacity of 30 million people. They had demanded money, freedom for their imprisoned leaders, and a new homeland. Such attacks had happened 5 times in Earth's history. Each time governments had tried to negotiate. Each time, despite giving the terrorists what they wanted, the bombs had gone off anyway. Millions had died. This time was different. Earth's unified military had used a new approach. Immediate, overwhelming force. Special forces had attacked all terrorist locations at the same exact moment. The terrorists had no time to set off their bombs. It worked, but at a cost. 27 brave soldiers had died, saving 30 million lives. The families have been notified, the officer said. Soo-ho looked at the list of names on his tablet. I will visit each one personally. The new doctrine, never negotiate with terrorists, was controversial. Many thought it too harsh, Too risky. But it had worked. The people of New Singapore were alive because of it. Suho looked up as a shuttle landed nearby. A tall man in a captain's uniform stepped out. "Colonel Kang," the man called. "Captain Do-hyun Kim. I've been assigned to your command for the Galactic Council mission." Suho shook the captain's hand. "Welcome to the rain, Captain. Walk with me." As they walked through the damaged area, Suho explained the new doctrine. "This is what you'll represent when we go to the stars. We must be strong. We must be firm. We must never show weakness to those who would use violence against innocent people." Captain Kim looked at the destruction around them. "And if we face such a situation in space? Then you will remember New Singapore," Suho said. "And you will do what must be done." Present day, Galactic Council Station. The holding cell was small but clean. The 4 humans sat on benches along the wall. They had been there for hours. "You should have voted yes," Ambassador Yoon said to Captain Kim. "At least temporarily. We could have bought time." Do-hyun shook his head. "That's not how it works. The moment we agree to their first demand, we validate their tactics." Dr. Ji-won Park looked up from where she sat. "The other species don't understand. Did you see their faces when you refused? They think we're crazy," Commander Taeho added. "Or suicidal." The door slid open. 2 guards entered, followed by Supreme Commander Vrax. "I've been studying human history," Vrax said. "You're a violent species. You've killed each other for thousands of years over land, resources, beliefs. Yet you claim moral high ground with me?" Do-hyun stood. "We learned from our violence. That's the difference. We know where it leads." Vrax circled the room. "The other council species are falling in line. 15 have voted yes. Only the Vrexians and your people have refused." "The Vrexians refused?" Ji-won asked, surprised. "They are a warrior race," Vrax said. "Stubborn like you. But they will change their minds when their representatives die." He turned to Do-hyun. "You have 24 hours to reconsider. If your answer remains no, you die first. Then your companions, one by one." After Vrax left, the humans looked at each other. "I need to explain something to all of you," Do-hyun said. "Something Colonel Kang told me before we left Earth. In another part of the station, the alien representatives were being held in a large room. Guards stood at the doors and windows. "These humans are going to get us all killed," said a small green alien with large eyes. "Why won't they just agree? Like the rest of us?" A tall, muscular alien with red skin and bony ridges on his head spoke up. "Because they have honor. My people, the Vrexians, understand this." "Honor won't save us from Vrax's weapons," said another alien. A very old alien with pale, almost transparent skin raised a thin hand. "I find the humans interesting. In 10,000 years on the council, I've never seen their approach." "What approach is that?" asked the green alien. "Suicide?" "No," said the old alien. "Principle." The door opened. Guards brought in Ambassador Yoon, then left. The aliens stared at her. "Ambassador," said the old alien, "I am Elder Zin of the Aluvi. Please explain the human position to us." Ha-yun looked around the room. "I will try. But first I must ask, how many times has the council faced terrorists like the Void Sovereignty?" 7 times in the last century," said a blue-skinned Altari. "And what happened each time?" Ha-yun asked. "We negotiated," said Elder Zin. "We gave them something small to save lives." "And then what happened the next time?" The aliens looked at each other. "Their demands became bigger," admitted the Vrexian. "More lives were threatened, more concessions made." Ha-un nodded. "On Earth, we call this the escalation cycle. Each time you give in, the price goes up." "But what choice do we have?" asked the green alien. "They will kill us." "Some of us, yes," Ha-un said quietly. "But if you keep giving in, eventually they will take everything and kill you anyway." "So humans believe it is better to die for principle?" asked Elder Zin. "No. We believe it is better to fight. But if fighting isn't possible right now, then We must at least not make the enemy stronger. The Vrexian nodded with respect. Your species is young but wise in the ways of conflict. Not wise, Haun said sadly. Experienced. We've made every mistake possible in our history. Now we try not to repeat them. Back on the Dauntless, the crew was worried. They had lost contact with the captain and the diplomatic team when the Yao attack happened. Any response from Earth Command? Asked Lieutenant Jun Seo, the acting captain. Message received and acknowledged, said the communications officer. They say, hold position, no rescue attempt. Trust the protocol. Jun Seo frowned. What protocol? At that moment an alarm sounded. Sir, someone just used an emergency transporter on the station. We're receiving a signal. The main screen flickered. Commander Taeho's face appeared. Commander, are you all right? Jun Seo asked. No time, Taeho said. His face was cut and bleeding. Listen carefully. The others are still hostages. Captain Kim is implementing the new Singapore protocol. Jun Seo's eyes widened. Are you sure? Absolutely. We need to prepare. Here's what we're going to do. In the holding cell, Do-hyun sat with his eyes closed. Dr. Ji-won Park watched him carefully. How can you be so calm? She asked. We could die tomorrow. Do-hyun opened his eyes. Fear doesn't help us now. I keep thinking about home, Ji-won said. About Earth, my family. Think about what we represent instead, Do-hyun suggested. We're showing the galaxy who humans really are. Stubborn? Ji-won attempted a small smile. Principled, Do-hyun corrected. We don't bend to threats, not because we're foolish, but because we know where that road leads. The door opened. A guard brought in food and water, then left. Ji-won looked at the food. Do you think it's our last meal? Do-hyun picked up a cup of water. No, Dr. Park. I think it's just the beginning. As he drank, he noticed a small light blinking on his wrist communicator. A message had gotten through. One word. Ready? Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. Help was coming. To be continued. Dr. Ji-won Park touched the side of her head carefully. The neural implant was small, almost invisible. The alien guards had missed it during their search. It was designed to help her translate languages quickly, but it could do much more. She closed her eyes and focused. The implant connected to the Dauntless ship's computer system. A weak signal, but it worked. Connection established, appeared in her mind. She began typing with her thoughts. This is Dr. Park. Are you receiving? Dr. Park, this is Lieutenant Jun Seo. We thought you were all dead. Status report. Captain Kim, Ambassador Yoon and I are alive and held in cell block C7. Commander Lee escaped. Terrorists control the council chamber. They want 3-star systems, recognition and weapons technology. Commander Lee reached us. He's preparing a rescue plan. Stand by. Ji-won opened her eyes. Captain Kim was watching her. Any news? He asked quietly. Taeho made it to the ship. They're planning something. Ambassador Yoon looked worried. What if they can't get to us in time? Then we stick to the plan, Do-hyun said firmly. No matter what happens, we don't give in. In the main holding area, the alien representatives were talking in small groups. Some were angry, others scared. A few seemed resigned to their fate. High Counselor Ilara of the Altari approached Ambassador Yoon. Ambassador, I must ask you to reconsider. The Altari people have always believed in peace through negotiation. Violence only creates more violence. Ha-yoon understood their viewpoint. High Counselor, my people once believed the same thing. We tried negotiation first for thousands of years. Sometimes it worked. But with terrorists, it never works. How can you be so certain? Asked a representative with purple skin and tentacles for arms. Because we kept records, Ha-yoon explained. Every time we gave terrorists what they wanted, they came back asking for more. The demands got bigger. The threats got worse. Elder. Zin of the Eluvi moved closer. Tell us about these records. Ha-yoon sat down with them. In the year 2157, Terrorists took over a space station near Mars. They wanted money and safe passage. We gave it to them. 6 months later, they took over 2 stations and demanded twice as much money. The aliens listened carefully. In 2203, terrorists threatened to poison the water supply of North America. We negotiated. We gave them land and resources. 1 year later, they threatened to poison all of Earth's oceans. What happened then? Asked the Rexian representative. We stopped negotiating. We fought back. Many died, but the threats ended. For how long? Elder Zin asked. It's been 42 years since the last major terrorist attack on Earth, Ha-Un said. Not because terrorists don't exist, but because they know we won't give them what they want. The purple alien looked thoughtful. But the immediate cost is always less than the long-term cost, Ha-Un finished. I know it's hard to accept, but it's the truth we learned through pain. A new voice spoke up. She speaks wisdom. Everyone turned. It was Counselor Vrak, the Vrexian representative. He was tall and muscular with red skin and bone ridges on his head and arms. My people are warriors, Vrak said. We understand the cost of both fighting and not fighting. The humans are correct. Easy for you to say, snapped the green alien. Your people enjoy war. No, Vrak said seriously. We understand war. There is a difference. We know that sometimes fighting prevents bigger wars later. High Counselor Alara looked troubled. But if we refuse, Vrax will kill us. Some of us, yes, Vrak agreed. But if we give him what he wants, he will eventually kill all of us anyway, just more slowly. On the Dauntless, Commander Taeho Lee was in the briefing room with the senior staff. His uniform was torn and he had cuts on his face from his escape. Here's what we know, he said, pointing to a holographic display of the council station. Vrax has about 50 soldiers. They control the main chamber, the security center, and the communication hub. What about the hostages? Asked Lieutenant Jun Seo. Split into 2 groups. The humans are in cell block C7. The aliens are in conference room B12. Security systems? Asked the tactical officer. This is where it gets interesting, Taeho said. I managed to access the station's security logs before I escaped. The attack wasn't random, someone helped them. The officers looked surprised. The security codes were changed 3 hours before the attack. The guards were reassigned to different positions. The weapon scanners were turned off in specific areas. Inside job, Junseo said grimly. Has to be. Someone on the council is working with Vrax. The communications officer spoke up. Sir, we're receiving a message from Earth Command. Put it through. Admiral Song's face appeared on the screen. Commander Lee, Lieutenant Junseo. I assume Captain Kim is maintaining our position? Yes, sir, Taeho replied. No negotiation with the terrorists. Good. I'm sending you additional resources. The experimental phase shift technology has been approved for this mission. Junseo's eyes widened. Sir, that technology is still being tested. And this is the test, Admiral Song said. Commander Lee, you'll lead the rescue team. Use the phase shift to get inside the station without being detected. Understood, sir. When do we start? You already have. Check your cargo bay. Dr. Jiwon Park was still connected to the ship's computer when new information flooded her mind. Technical specifications, mission plans, and something else. She focused on the data stream. Someone was accessing the station's internal communications. Someone who shouldn't have access. Ship's AI, she thought. Trace the unauthorized signal. Signal originating from Council Chamber, Section 7. Cross-referencing with station personnel. Records. Results. Signal matches communication patterns of Counselor Nexus of the Nexari Confederation. Jiwon's eyes opened wide. She had found the traitor. She looked around the cell. How could she tell the others without alerting the guards? Captain, she said carefully, I've been thinking about the attack. The timing was very precise. Do-hyun caught on quickly. You mean they had help? The kind of help that comes from someone who knows all the security procedures. Someone on the council, Ambassador Yoon whispered. Someone who wants chaos, Jiwon added. Someone who might benefit if the current council structure fails. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Do you know who? Ji-won touched her temple briefly. I have suspicions. We'll need proof. In the council chamber, Supreme Commander Vrax was reviewing status reports from his soldiers. Counselor Nexus approached him quietly. The humans still refused to cooperate, Nexus said. He was tall and thin with pale blue skin and large black eyes. I expected as much, Vrax replied. They're proving useful. Useful? Their refusal makes the other species more willing to give us what we want. Fear is a powerful motivator. Nexus looked around nervously. What if they maintain their position? Then they die and their deaths convince the others that resistance is hopeless. Vrax smiled. Either way, we get what we came for. And our agreement? Once I control those 3 star systems, you'll have your seat as High Counselor. The Council will need new leadership after this crisis. Nexus nodded, but he looked worried. The humans concern me. Their ship is still out there. 1 ship against my fleet? Not a problem. You don't understand. I've been studying human military history. They don't give up. Ever. Vrax laughed. Then, we'll teach them to. Back in the cell, Do-hyun felt his communicator vibrate again. A message. 6 hours. He looked at his companions. Ji-won was concentrating, probably gathering more intelligence through her implant. Ambassador Yoon was planning her next conversation with the alien representatives. All of them were scared, but none were willing to break. Whatever happens, Do-hyun said quietly, remember why we're here. We represent not just Earth, but a principle. The principle that evil cannot be rewarded no matter the cost. Even if the cost is our lives? Ji-won asked. Especially then, Do-hyun replied. Because if we break, if we show the galaxy that humans can be intimidated, then every human who travels to the stars after us will face the same threats. Ambassador Yoon nodded. The precedent we set here will last for generations. Through the walls, they could hear voices from the main holding area. The alien representatives were still debating. Some wanted to give in. Others were starting to support the human position. They're beginning to understand, Ha-yoon said. Some of them, Do-hyun agreed. But understanding and acting are different things. A guard appeared at their cell door. Time's up. Vrax wants to see you. As they were led away, Do-hyun caught Ji-won's eye. She nodded slightly. She had sent the information about the traitor to the ship. Now they just had to survive long enough for the rescue team to arrive. To be continued. Supreme Commander Vrax stood in the center of the council chamber. His soldiers had Ambassador Yoon on her knees, a weapon pointed at her head. The other humans watched from nearby, also surrounded by guards. 24 hours have passed, Vrax announced to the chamber. The humans have had time to think. Captain Kim, what is your final answer? Do-hyun stepped forward. His hands were bound behind his back, but he stood straight and tall. Our answer remains the same. The United Earth. Federation does not negotiate with terrorists. Vrax shook his head. Then watch your diplomat die. The soldier raised his weapon. Ambassador Yoon closed her eyes but kept her head high. Wait, Do-hyun said. Vrax smiled. Ah, now you want to talk? I want to make sure you understand something. About humans, Do-hyun replied. We're not just stubborn, we're prepared. Vrax frowned. What do you mean? I mean, did you really think we came here defenseless? At that exact moment, the lights in the chamber flickered. A strange humming sound filled the air. What is that? Vrax demanded. Before anyone could answer, 6 figures appeared out of thin air in the center of the chamber. They wore black armor and carried advanced weapons. Their faces were covered by helmets. Commander Tae-ho Lee removed his helmet. Earth Special Forces, drop your weapons. The Void Sovereignty soldiers were confused. How had the humans appeared from nowhere? Impossible, Vrax shouted. My ships are watching your vessel. They're watching one ship, Tae-ho said calmly. But we have more than one. The human soldiers moved with perfect coordination. They had trained for situations exactly like this one. Each knew their target, their mission, their backup plans. "Kill the hostages," Vrax ordered. But the humans were faster. They fired weapons that sent out waves of energy. The waves knocked out the Void Sovereignty soldiers without killing them. Within seconds, half of Vrax's forces were unconscious on the floor. "Defensive positions," Vrax called to his remaining soldiers. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Aliens screamed and tried to find cover. Energy beams flew in all directions, but the human soldiers were careful. They aimed only at the terrorists, never at the hostages. Dr. Jiwon Park felt someone cut her bonds. "Dr. Park, this way." A human soldier led her to safety behind one of the council platforms. Do-hyun and Ambassador Yoon were already there. "How did you get here?" Jiwon asked. "Phase shift technology," the soldier explained. "We can move through solid matter for short periods. We transported directly into the chamber." "What about the station's shields?" Do-hyun asked. "Your neural implant gave us the shield codes," Taeho said, joining them. "Dr. Park, you found the Ya. Traitor, well done." Across the chamber, Counselor Nexus was trying to escape, but another human soldier blocked his path. "Going somewhere, Counselor?" the soldier asked. Nexus's pale blue skin turned even paler. I was looking for safety." "Strange. You seem to know exactly where the exits are, almost like you helped plan this attack." Meanwhile, Vrax was still fighting. He was a skilled warrior, but the human soldiers were better organized. They worked as a team, covering each other, advancing slowly but steadily. "Your weapons cannot penetrate our armor," Vrax called out. "We're not trying to penetrate it," Taeho replied. "We're trying to contain you." As he spoke, more human soldiers appeared around the chamber. They had transported to key positions throughout the station. Lieutenant Jun Seo's voice came through. "They're communicators. Team 2 has secured the security center. Team 3 has the communication hub. All Void Sovereignty ships are targeted and ready for destruction." Vrax realized he was surrounded. "This is impossible. You're just one small ship." Do-hyun stood up from his cover. "No, we're Earth, and Earth doesn't send just one ship to important meetings." Through the chamber's windows, new lights appeared in space. Human warships decloaked one by one. The Void Sovereignty fleet was completely outnumbered. "How many ships?" Vrax demanded. "Enough," Do-hyun said simply. On the bridge of the Dauntless, the crew watched as the situation unfolded. "Sir," the communications officer said, "the Void Sovereignty ships are trying to retreat." Lieutenant Jun Seo nodded. "Let them go. Our mission is to rescue the hostages, not start a war." "What about their leader?" "Commander Lee will handle that." In the chamber, Vrax was down to his last few soldiers. The human special forces had been careful not to kill anyone, but they had been very effective at stopping the attack. "Surrender," Taeho called out. "Your forces are defeated. Your ships are gone. There's nowhere to run." "I will not surrender to inferior beings," Vrax roared. He charged at Captain Kim with an energy blade in his hand, but Do-hyun was ready. Years of military training kicked in. He dodged the blade and grabbed Vrax's arm. The two struggled for a moment. Vrax was stronger, but Do-hyun was faster and smarter. He used Vrax's own momentum against him, throwing the terrorist leader to the ground. Taeho's soldiers surrounded Vrax before he could get up. "It's over," Do-hyun said, breathing hard. The chamber grew quiet. Smoke drifted through the air. The alien representatives slowly came out from their hiding places. High Counselor Alara stared at the scene. How did you do this?" Ambassador Yoon stood up, brushing dust from her uniform. "Preparation, planning, and the willingness to act when action is necessary." Elder Zin of the Eluvi approached the humans. "Your people are full of surprises." "We had to be," Dr. Jiwon Park said. "Our history taught us that sometimes peace requires strength." Counselor Vrak, the Vrexian, nodded with respect. "Your warriors fight with honor. My people understand this." But not all the aliens were pleased. The green alien from earlier looked angry. "You could have gotten us all killed. What if your plan had failed?" Do-hyun turned to face him. Then we would have died fighting for our principles instead of living as slaves to fear. That's easy to say when you won. No, said a new voice. It's harder to say when you might lose. Everyone turned. It was Counselor Terex of the Saurians, the alien they thought Vrax had killed. He was hurt but alive. I was stunned, not killed, he explained. I heard everything. I watched how the humans acted even when they thought they would die. That takes courage. Ambassador Yoon helped him stand. We're glad you're alive, Counselor. As am I. And I'm glad the humans were here today. Commander Taeho was checking on his soldiers when his communicator buzzed. Commander, this is Lieutenant Jun Seo on the Dauntless. We've received a message from Earth Command. What does it say? Mission success. All human personnel are to return to the ship immediately. The Council has requested an emergency session. Taeho looked around the chamber. Vrax and his soldiers were in custody. Counselor Nexus was also under arrest, his betrayal exposed. The immediate threat was over. Understood. We'll be up shortly. He turned to Captain Kim. Sir, we need to go. Do-hyun nodded. But before leaving, he addressed the council. High Counselor Ilara, counselors, today was difficult for all of us. We hope it was also educational. What do you mean? She asked. You've seen what happens when you refuse to negotiate with terrorists. Yes, there is risk. Yes, there is cost. But the alternative is worse. He paused, looking around the chamber. The choice is yours to make, but now you know there's another way. Elder Zin stepped forward. Captain Kim, before you go, I must ask, how long have you been planning this rescue? Do-hyun almost smiled. Since the moment we decided to come to the stars, we hoped we'd never need it, but hope is not a strategy. And if there had been no traitor to expose, if Dr. Park couldn't communicate with your ship, then we would have found another way. Humans are very good at adapting. As the human team prepared to leave, Ambassador Yoon had one last conversation with the alien representatives. What happens now? Asked Counselor Vrak. Now you decide what kind of galaxy you want to live in, Haun replied. One where violence is rewarded, or one where it's defeated. The humans have shown us a path, Elder Zin said thoughtfully. But can we walk it? That, said Haun, is up to you. To be continued. 3 days later, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The Great Chamber had been repaired quickly. New security systems were in place. But the biggest change was not in the room itself. It was in the minds of those who sat in it. Captain Do-hyun Kim stood once again on the central platform. This time, he was not a prisoner. He was there as Earth's representative, speaking to the 17 species that made up the Galactic Council. Honorable counselors, Do-hyun began. 3 days ago, we all learned something about the cost of peace. The alien representatives listened carefully. Some still looked shaken by what had happened. Others seemed thoughtful. The human delegation has prepared a report on our actions, Do-hyun continued. But first, I want to address the concerns that many of you have raised. High Counselor Ilara of the Altari spoke first. Captain Kim, your methods were aggressive. Many of our people are asking if humans can be trusted as partners in peace. Do-hyun nodded. I understand the concern. Let me be clear. Humans do not seek war. We do not enjoy violence. But we have learned that sometimes the only way to protect peace is to be willing to fight for it. Elder Zin of the Aluvi raised a thin hand. In our 10,000 years of council history, we have always chosen negotiation over conflict. It has served us well. Has it? Do-hyun asked respectfully. How many times have groups like the Void Sovereignty attacked council interests? How many concessions have been made? How many innocent people have died while you negotiated? The chamber fell silent. It was an uncomfortable question. Dr. Ji-won Park stepped forward. If I may, I have analyzed the council's records of terrorist incidents over the past century. She activated a holographic display. Numbers and charts appeared in the air above them. 7 major terrorist attacks. Each time the council negotiated, each time the demands grew larger, The attack 3 days ago would have given the Void sovereignty control of 3 entire star systems, systems containing over 2 billion innocent people. Ambassador Ha-Yun joined them on the platform. The pattern is clear. Each successful negotiation made the next attack more likely and more dangerous. Councillor Vrak of the Vrexians stood up. The humans speak truth. My people have been saying this for decades, but no one listened. Because your people enjoy war, said a small blue alien with tentacles for hair. No, Vrak replied firmly. Because my people understand that some things are worth fighting for. Freedom, safety, the right to live without fear. A new voice spoke from the gallery. The Vrexians are correct. Everyone turned to look. It was Councillor Terex of the Saurians, still bandaged from his injuries during the attack. I was there, he said. I heard Vrax's plans. If we had given him what he wanted, it would not have ended there. He spoke of taking over the entire outer rim, then moving toward the core worlds. High Councillor Alara looked troubled. But Captain Kim, your response was so final. You killed Vrax's soldiers. No, Commander Teho Lee said, joining the group on the platform. We used non-lethal weapons. All the Void Sovereignty soldiers are alive and in custody. The aliens looked surprised. Even in combat, we tried to minimize casualties, Teho continued. That's what separates us from terrorists. We use force only when necessary and only as much as needed. Elder Zin leaned forward with interest. You could have killed them easily but chose not to. Killing should be the last option, not the first, Do-Hyun explained. But the willingness to use force must be real, or the threat means nothing. Ambassador Yoon addressed the council directly. We know our approach seems harsh to many of you. But consider this. How many people are alive today because we refused to negotiate? The 2 billion people in those 3 star systems, the millions on this station. All of you. You make it sound simple, said the blue alien. But what about the risks you took? Every choice has risks, Ha-Un replied. The risk of action, the risk of inaction. We chose the risk that would save the most lives in the long run. A tall alien with crystal-like skin spoke up. The Crystalline Collective has a question. What happens now? The Void Sovereignty still exists. Other terrorist groups will emerge. Do-Hyun looked around the chamber. That brings us to our proposal. Dr. Park activated a new display. Earth offers to share our security expertise with the Council, not to take over, but to help create a new approach to galactic security. What kind of approach? Asked High Councillor Alara. Prevention first, Teho explained. Better intelligence gathering, faster response to threats, and when diplomacy fails, the capability to act decisively. You want to militarize the Council? The blue alien asked nervously. No, Do-Hyun said. We want to make the Council strong enough that militarization becomes unnecessary. Elder Zin stood slowly. You speak of strength preventing conflict. Explain. Ambassador Yoon smiled. It's simple. When criminals know they cannot win, they don't try. When terrorists know their demands will never be met, they look for other ways to solve their problems. Other ways? Asked Councillor Vrak. Legal ways, political ways, ways that don't involve violence. The debate continued for hours. Some species supported the human proposal. Others worried about changing their peaceful traditions. A few were still angry about the humans' aggressive tactics. Finally, High Councillor Alara called for order. We will now vote on 3 separate issues. First, membership for Earth in the Galactic Council. The vote was closer than expected, but Earth was accepted. Second, the establishment of a new Council security force incorporating human tactical expertise. This vote was very close. It passed by only 2 votes. Third, adoption of the new security doctrine. No negotiation with terrorist demands. The chamber fell silent. This was the biggest change. For 10,000 years, the Council had always been willing to negotiate. One by one, the species voted. The Vrexians voted yes immediately. The Saurians voted yes. The Aluvi voted yes after long consideration. When the count was finished, the doctrine had passed by a margin of 9 to 8. High Counselor Ilara looked at the humans. Captain Kim, the Council has accepted your proposals, but we have conditions. What conditions? Do-hyun asked. Earth will lead the new security force, but it will include representatives from all willing species. No single world will have too much power. Agreed. Second, this new doctrine will be reviewed every 5 years. If it leads to more violence, instead of less, it will be changed. That's fair. Third, humans must help us understand your methods. We need to learn not just your tactics, but your principles. Do-hyun smiled. We'd be honored to teach and to learn from you as well. 2 weeks later, Captain Kim stood on the bridge of the Dauntless as it prepared to return to Earth. The ship was no longer alone. 3 other vessels traveled with them. The First Joint Council Earth Patrol. Incoming message from Earth Command, the communications officer announced. Admiral Song's face appeared on the screen. Captain Kim, congratulations on a successful mission. The President has asked me to inform you that Earth is very pleased with the results. Thank you, Admiral, but I think this is just the beginning. Agreed. You'll be pleased to know that 6 more Council species have requested joint training programs with our military. Dr. Park looked up from her station. Sir, we're also receiving requests for cultural exchange programs. It seems many species want to understand human history better. Ambassador Yoon joined them on the bridge. The Council has formally invited Earth to establish embassies on 47 worlds. We're going to be very busy. Through the viewports, they could see the Council station growing smaller behind them. But ahead lay new worlds, new challenges, and new opportunities. Message coming in from Elder Zin, the communications officer said. The ancient alien's face appeared on the screen. Captain Kim, before you depart, I wanted to thank you. Thank us? For what? For showing us that there are many paths to peace. For 10,000 years we walked only one path. Now we have choices. Do-hyun bowed respectfully. Elder Zin, we learned as much from you as you did from us. The galaxy is better when we work together. Indeed. Safe travels, humans. The stars await. As the Dauntless entered hyperspace, Do-hyun reflected on everything that had happened. Earth had come to the Council seeking membership. They had found something much more valuable: partnership, respect, and the chance to help make the galaxy safer for everyone. Commander Lee joined him at the viewport. Do you think it will work, sir? This new approach? Do-hyun watched the stars streak past. I think it's our best chance. We've shown them that strength and principles can work together. Now we have to prove that peace and preparedness can coexist. And if new threats emerge, then we'll face them together, all of us, as allies. As the human fleet headed home, across the galaxy, the word was spreading. The humans had come to the stars. They had refused to negotiate with terrorists. They had won without becoming monsters themselves. It was the beginning of a new age for the Galactic Council, an age where peace would be protected by those willing to fight for it. The galaxy would never be the same. The end.